Ladies, gentlemen, and jabronis, welcome to the most electrifying and apparently inaccurate pick show on the internet. It's Mitch here, live. This is The Bottom Line View, and this is the show where I pick every NFL game of the 2025 NFL season. This is our Week 4 preview and picks. Straight up and versus the spread. As I mentioned, we were incredibly, almost historically inaccurate versus the spread in Week 3. But you know what that means? That means that it's bounce back week on the BLV. And historically, there have been none better at bouncing back than yours truly. So join me for bounce back week on the Bottom Line View. It's Week 4, and it's time to break down some NFL games. Before I get started, guys, don't forget to spike the like button. If you're curious about where my best bets are at, where my betting breakdowns are, where my actual bets are, well, I do have a new channel. I don't know if all of you are aware, but it's called Money Mitch. It's my NFL betting and fantasy football channel that I started in September. We already have close to 1,200 subscribers in under a month. Thank you to all of those and all of you that have subscribed. I do exclusive NFL bet breakdowns, best bets, early best bets, last minute best bets, fantasy football starts and sits, everything in between on that channel. It's an extension of the Bottom Line View and an extension of me and my new channel. So go check it out, go subscribe, go check out the betting content. And if you're curious about my bets themselves, well, Patreon is still the place to go. It's $5 a month for all of my bets from Thursday through Monday every week of the NFL season. $5 a month, and it's bounce back week, which means we're about to go crazy and win a lot of money this week. So join Patreon, link in the description. Link will be in the pinned comment after we're done the live stream. Welcome to all the homies in the chat. We have Christian in the chat, Marcus in the chat, Big Al in the chat, Singh in the chat, Jacob in the chat. Yes, I started August 12th, but I did not upload. I think I uploaded one video before September. I really started in September, so it's a very new channel, the Money Mitch channel. Go check it out, guys. Sam in the chat. What's up, man? And Strawberries in the chat. Let's get those likes up, guys, before I get started with Thursday Night Football. Christian asks, how's that L going? Of course, Christian is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Christian, we've discussed that at length. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the flukiest team ever to set foot on an NFL field with 5 turnovers last week. The only reason they won the game. Literally the only reason. So part of picking games in the NFL, sometimes you're unlucky, right? But part of picking games is understanding what really happened during the course of a game. The Patriots and Steelers is a great example. The wrong team won the game. So we're also going to diagnose what happened in each game and break down each team after the fluky, ridiculous, unbelievable, historic Week 3. Let's get to bounce back week, beginning with the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle is favored by 1.5. I think this game's going to be really good, and honestly, either team can win this game. The game is in Arizona. I was there a couple weeks ago at the stadium. I will let you know the home field advantage is not significant. It is not. Their air conditioning, fantastic. Home field, not significant. Now, Sam Darnold quietly has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL through the first 3 games. Now, part of that comes down to playing Christian's Pittsburgh Steelers defense and the New Orleans Saints. I will say that. But also part of that is that JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, has been maybe the best receiver in all of football. He has been absolutely unguardable, phenomenal, and I think he'll have another fantastic game. Why? The Cardinals still are without multiple players in the secondary. One, Will Johnson is doubtful, unfortunately, and Garrett Williams is out and on IR for a period of time. Garrett Williams, one of the most underrated defensive backs in the NFL. Now, the Cardinals still do have good safeties. I think Mack Wilson is an underrated linebacker. And I do think that their defensive line is quite solid. I think that they will be able to slow down Kenneth Walker. I think they will be able to shut down the run. I think that, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, the Cardinals haven't been easy to run against, and they do have a pretty good pass rush led by Josh Sweat and the new arrivals. What I do find fascinating about this game is that they're both defensive coaches, both defensive head coaches. Gannon for Arizona, Mike McDonald for the Seahawks. So I think it's going to be a more defensive game on a short week. Both teams, I don't think are going to have some elaborate offensive game plans. What I really struggle with the Cardinals, like my fan brain of understanding the NFL kind of processes that the Cardinals are, this would be a spot that I would want to pick them, right? Like, this is the type of team that I would want to pick in this spot because it's a short week. They're at home. It's a divisional game, right? Those things process through my brain. But at the same time, the Seahawks have dominated the series over the years. Mike McDonald has frustrated Kyler Murray and kept the Cardinals very low on the scoreboard. And at the same time, I don't like what I see from the Cardinals on offense. Kyler Murray is just taking check down after check down. And honestly, everyone is going to blame Kyler, but they have no receivers. The Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a complete bust. He can't catch the ball. He can't separate. He's doing nothing for the team. They do get Greg Dortch back, the Dortcher chamber. I love me some Dortch, but I don't know how much that changes the math. Zay Jones is no good. I'm surprised he's even in the NFL. Michael Wilson is slower than Strawberry. And the only person you have to cover is Trey McBride. Trey McBride is a dog. But the Seahawks could be getting back multiple players in their secondary, including some of their safeties like Nick Emanwari, maybe Julian Love. I'm sure that the Seahawks knew that they could rest some players against the Saints because they were playing the Cardinals on a short week, and they needed these guys in a big NFC West matchup. And I think the Seahawks are slightly healthier. I think the Seahawks are better, to be honest with you. The Seahawks have owned this matchup. Sam Darnold has been the more explosive passer. Seattle's offense has been more explosive, and they can take advantage of those cornerback injuries of the Cardinals by throwing the ball down the field, even if they can't run the ball. I don't expect the Cardinals to be able to run the ball that well. They haven't ran it all year, to my surprise, because they were a very good running team last year. The Niners shut it down. I think Seattle has a great front. They should be able to shut down the run, and I think in a defensive game, I'm going with the offense I just have a little bit more faith in. The defense that I like a little bit more. I think both of those reside in Seattle. And I kind of just think they're a little, the Cardinals are just confusing. The Cardinals, I think their offense is looked at one way, but they don't perform the other way. They don't perform to their level of what you would expect, right? So, the Cardinals could win this game, but in my football brain, it doesn't make a lot of sense them winning this game. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. So I have Seattle -1.5 to win and obviously to cover. I think it will be a grinder. I'm going to go 23-17 Seattle, something to that degree. I think it'll be relatively lower scoring based on the defenses. And I don't think either team is really going to run the ball all that well. Okay, before we get to that next game, we do have some comments. Strawberry does say that the Cardinals offense is so boring, dull, and lacks any creativity. A lot of it is screens, swing passes, quick stick routes over the middle. I don't know. Gannon has built his defensive line to stop Shanahan, and that's what Kubiak runs. That's fair. I mean, everybody's trying to stop, I feel like, the same offense because everyone feels like they've run the same offense outside of the Cardinals in that division. Jacob's got Seahawks 24, Cardinals 20. Marcus has got the Cardinals over the Seahawks. Cool. Thank you guys for giving your picks, providing your thoughts. Let's get to Sunday. We have a European flavor for the first time this season. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Christian's Pittsburgh Steelers. Bodo's Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to the Bodo, legend of the BLV, Hall of Famer of the BLV. The Minnesota Vikings, favored by 2.5 with the Prince Harry, Carson Wentz. Now, as I explained earlier at the beginning of this video, in frustration, yes, the Patriots should have beat the candy asses of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that the Vikings are going to hand the Steelers a big fat L in this game. Now, I don't trust much about Carson Wentz, but what I do trust is I do trust Kevin O'Connell. I do trust the return of Christian Darrisaw, the return of Jordan Addison. I do trust Justin Jefferson. I do trust Jordan Mason, who's running hard. I think the Vikings are the better team pretty considerably. I feel like they have the much better offense. I think they have the much better running game. Mason went crazy last week, had like 140 yards. He's been running the ball hard since he's gotten his opportunity, since Aaron Jones went down. With all their weapons back, I think that only boosts Carson Wentz. And who are we to say that Carson Wentz is worse than J.J. McCarthy? I'm not sure that he is. I'm really not. But the main reason I'm picking the Vikings is because of Brian Flores versus Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been the worst quarterback in professional football against pressure. And he's facing Brian Flores. Brian Flores is going to blitz his daylights out. Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, these guys are going to get home. And the only thing the Steelers do on offense is screens. And who is Mr. Pick Six against screens? Andrew Van Ginkel. Expect a pick by Andrew Van Ginkel. Just going to throw that out there. I also saw Aaron Rodgers play the Vikings in a foreign country outside of the United States last season. And Aaron Rodgers couldn't handle the pressure. He turned it over. I don't like the Pittsburgh offense. I think they're extremely overrated. I think the only way the Steelers really win is if they get multiple turnovers from Carson Wentz. The only way they win is how they won last week. Fumbles, strip sacks, interceptions, which very well could happen against Carson Wentz. But I'm pretty sure Kevin O'Connell will keep that from happening. And I think the Vikings will run the ball better than the Patriots did, which will keep it away from Carson Wentz from ruining the game. So I think that this Steeler defense still needs to prove to me that it's not terrible. And I will take the Vikings to win. I'm not certain on some of the injuries for the Steelers defense, if they'll get some guys back or not. That certainly would help, like Alex Highsmith, Joey Porter. We'll see. But the travel and everything does make that a little awkward. So we'll find out, but I still like the Vikings nonetheless to win and cover here. Now, to the real Sunday football games. We have the New Orleans Saints at the Buffalo Bills. If you have not, Gronk spike the like button. I don't know what you're doing, bro. Gronk spike the like button. The Buffalo Bills are 16.5. You're reading that correctly. 16.5 favorites in an NFL game. They play at home versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Buffalo Bills, people will be scared. They'll be shy because the Dolphins covered a big number against the Bills. Now, here's the thing. The Dolphins have a divisional rivalry. They have an understanding of the Bills. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. They have speed on offense. They can run the ball. They have an actual offense. Okay? Now, the Saints, they're a bunch of jabronis. What do the Saints do well? They can't cover. They can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball. What can they do? Well, that's my question. There's a reason they're 16.5-point underdogs. This game is in Buffalo. Buffalo's defense will probably be motivated after they got absolutely ripped apart by Tua Tagovailoa outside of like that terrible interception. Even though he only threw for like 140 yards, they still gave up way too many points. Now, it's always concerning laying a 16.5-point number. But the Bills, to me, are the best team in football. The Saints, to me, are the worst team in football. Buffalo is one of the hardest places to play. Spencer Rattler has literally never, ever, 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 and I mean ever, won a football game in the NFL. Ever. 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 So I will take the Bills to win. I will take the Bills to cover. I don't see it with the Saints. The Seahawks beat them by 1,000 last week. They beat them by 1,000. The Seahawks. What? Like, sure, the Bills might be bored. The Bills might run the ball. The Bills might, they might just have a, boring day at the office. They might get a little sick of this. Like, let's just get out of here. Let's just win this game. But come on. Like, it's the Bills. I think they have a big game here, and I think they obliterate the Saints. I agree with you, Rob. I agree with you. Next up, Browns at the Lions. Lions favored by 9.5 at home, coming off an extremely impressive win over the Baltimore Ravens on the road, where I was fairly certain they would lose. Give me the Lions to win and the Lions to cover. Browns, okay? You deserve respect. You upset the Packers, but the key here is at home. Cleveland has had a tendency to be very good at home on defense and very good at home and lay eggs on the road. Even with their defense playing spectacularly well against the Ravens in moments, they still got obliterated. This is another elite opponent. I mean, Cleveland has played Baltimore, Green Bay, and Detroit back to back to back. I mean, come on, man. Detroit is a powerhouse at home. Detroit runs away with games at home, and they never take the foot off the gas. Now, could they maybe come into this game a little bit on their high horse, a little bit overconfident after beating Baltimore? Potentially. But I think this is actually a good matchup for Detroit in a variety of ways. I think that they're one of the few offenses that actually can score on the Browns because they can block the Browns in theory because their offensive line is good. They have multiple positions that can beat man coverage. Cleveland likes to play a lot of man. You got Amon-Ra at the nickel spot where Cleveland is the weakest in their secondary, right? If you play him in the slot. Jamison Williams is the fastest human on the field. Jahmyr Gibbs is a great route runner out of the backfield. Sam Laporta is a mismatch. Even Isaac Tesla can go down the field. So you've got multiple guys that I think can separate and that can get open. The Lions also were a problem when they run the ball. And I just feel like this offense is always in sync at home in the dome. And the Lions do have good tackles. So I feel like Myles Garrett is an alien, but I do feel like he will be not as ridiculous because at least you've got Sewell and you've got Decker, guys that can block, okay? Now, if the Browns are able to replicate the Packer formula, again, that was on the road though, and that was week 1, maybe they have a chance. But here's the thing. I don't think the Browns are going to score enough points. Let's say Detroit scores 24 points. Are the Browns going to score 17? I don't know. Like, Joe Flacco and the Browns have struggled to score points, period. Yes, Judkins has given them something on the ground. Yeah, I like their tight ends, but their tackle situation is pathetic. Flacco is going to get screamed at by the Lions pass rush, Aiden Hutchinson, and their blitzes. The Lions are very feisty. They play tight coverage. They can force turnovers through their pressure. I just think like eventually the Lions wear down the Browns defensively and they come away with the win and the cover. It might not be pretty, but I just think they're too much ultimately. And I trust the Lions defense to hold down the Browns offense to allow the Lions to cover. Next, the Carolina Panthers at the New England Patriots. Currently in the live chat, we have 20 of you jabronis who have not liked the video. I see you. I'm looking right at you. Like the video. Patriots, 5.5 at home. It's bounce back week on the bottom line view. It's bounce back week for the New England Patriots. Give me the quarterback that's the best in the NFL on 3rd and 4th down so far, Drake May, to have a statement game against the team that he grew up cheering for. Young Drake May with his Carolina Panthers jersey on, cheering for Cameron Newton. He said he no longer was a fan when the Panthers let go of Cam Newton. Drake May is about to go nuclear here. I think the Patriots win. I think the Patriots cover. Call me biased. Call me whatever you want. The Panthers are coming off a 30-0 victory over Atlanta that really wasn't that bad. Actually, the Falcons pretty much outgained them, did everything in the statistical department to make that a really good game. Unfortunately, Michael Penix sucks. And unfortunately, Raheem Morris sucks. I have a little bit more faith in the coach and the quarterback of the Patriots. But really, it comes down to the matchups. I think the Patriots defense will dominate this game. They dominated the Steelers. I think that their defensive line is going to get a lot of pressure on Bryce Young. Bryce Young is missing multiple interior linemen in this game, and the Patriots have one of the best interior pass rushes statistically so far. Christian Gonzalez is expected to play. See you later, Tet McMillan. And that will solve a lot of the problems for the Patriots in the back end. And look, I mean, they allowed like 1 yard to the Steelers in 2 combined quarters. So I think the Patriots defense will continue to build on their performance from last week. And I just don't think the Panthers have much on offense. Their tight end Sanders went on IR. It's really just T-Mac, Hunter Renfrow underneath. Their run game is fine, but the Patriots have been very good against the run. I think the Patriots dominate that matchup. I think on the other side, the Panthers secondary has been feisty. Their pass coverage has been pretty solid. But I do expect the Patriots to just not turn the ball over, just not play sloppy, play with detail, play with intention, play with hunger, play with fire. Last week, they should have beat the Steelers by 17 points. This week, I think they actually go out there and they win this game against the Panthers. I'm going to say 27-14 Patriots with a little bit of a statement, but they do cover 5.5. There you go. Next, the Washington Commanders at the Atlanta Falcons. Commanders are favored by 1. This is one of the most confusing games of the week, okay? And the reason for that is I like to pick teams after they just got embarrassed, and Washington is heavily beat up. So not only are they missing the system quarterback, Jaden Daniels, but they're also potentially missing Terry McLaurin. They're also potentially missing some players on defense. And their cornerback situation, just overall their coverage, has been like the worst in football so far. Their run defense has been improved. Their pass rush has been improved. But their coverage has not been great. They do have some injuries in Washington. I think, honestly, like my pick kind of comes down to, does Terry McLaurin play or not? It doesn't really come down to Jaden Daniels. I feel like, does Terry McLaurin play or does Terry McLaurin not play? Because the Falcons could be without A.J. Terrell. So if Terry McLaurin does play, that would be a big factor. And the Falcons' defense has been pretty good this year. Like, I do have to give them some love. I feel like their front seven has been better than last year, better than previous years. But Washington has proven to be able to run the ball versus most teams. And Zach Ertz is a pain in the ass. The Falcons, can they run the ball here? Can they commit to running the ball? Drake London should have a good game here in theory. Like Kyle Pitts in theory. Like, these are all theories about the Falcons, right? Like, this was a really good game last year, and it was played in Washington. Penix was the quarterback. And I think Washington won in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. It was a really good game. It came down to the wire. I think it will be a really good game. Like, I kind of feel like this is a spot where Atlanta wins, but I can't really pick it because I just don't trust their coach. I don't trust their quarterback. And I trust Washington more. Like, Washington usually beats the teams that they're supposed to beat on the road or at home. And I just need to see it with the Falcons here. So, despite, like, the sense of the Falcons winning this game, I'm going to go with the Commanders. I just would be kicking myself if I watch this game and I see Washington win the game by like 14, which very well could happen. This is also a Marcus Mariota revenge game. I will mention that. Falcons, run the ball. Run the ball, bro. Run the ball. Next. Oh, gosh. Oh, my. The Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. The Texans are favored by a full touchdown against a professional football team. That tells you how bad the Tennessee Titans are. This game is in Houston. I'll take the Texans to win. I'll take the Titans to cover out of principle. But this could very well be a game where the Texans actually do cover. Just because they screw me over. Like, just to do everything opposite of what I want. But I'll take a close game. Because can the Texans score a point? Like, that's my question. Can they score a point? Now, in theory, the Texans have fairly good matchups here. Like, their pass rush is ridiculous. They're at home. They play the Titans O-line that I think has surrendered the most sacks in the NFL so far. Their run game is fine, but nothing special. Their receiving core is fine, but nothing special. Cam Ward has been up and down. The Texans' defense should thoroughly dominate this game. Thoroughly. On the other side, the Titans don't have a great pass rush. Their run defense has been pretty bad, but can the Texans take advantage? Probably not. Can C.J. Stroud take advantage of the Titans' defense? Probably not. The Texans are poorly coordinated, poorly play called, poorly designed, can't pick up a blitz. This game will be very low scoring. It'll be ugly. It'll make your eyeballs bleed. But I have to trust the Texans to win. I'll take the Titans to cover. I'll say 20-14. Texans win. Next, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa is not favored by 3.5. That's incorrect on the graphic. Philadelphia is favored by 3.5. This is a weird one too. I wanted to take the Eagles and I wanted to bet on the Eagles early in the week. If you guys follow Money Mitch, I had it as an early best bet. But now we've got problems. Why? Well, Tristan Wirfs could return and Chris Godwin could return. Actually, I do expect Chris Godwin to play. So that helps the Bucs because Mike Evans is out. And Mike Evans is, I think, one of the biggest wide receiver, most important receivers in football. Like, to the point spread, to the game flow, to like how I would pick a game. Like, Mike Evans is extremely influential. Now, at a fundamental level, I feel like the Eagles should win because they're healthier. Now, they did lose Nolan Smith. He went to IR. Zach Bond is wearing a brace. And Lane Johnson has some neck issue or something. But I think Bond and Lane Johnson are both expected to play. The Bucs have like 4 offensive linemen out. Mock is out. Gedeke is out. Their center's playing left tackle unless Wirfs plays. They're a disaster on the offensive line. Their run game, because of it, has struggled. Like last week. And Emeka Egbuka has been incredible. But like, how much can we expect from Emeka Egbuka against a really good coverage team and maybe Chris Godwin playing 50% of the snaps? Sterling Shepard, Cade Otton. What can we expect? Like, if Baker wins this game, sign me up for MVP Baker Mayfield propaganda. It will go crazy. Because he should have pressure in his face from Jalen Carter and company for a good portion of this game. The Eagles are typically very good at tackling in space and taking away those quick throws and screens that the Bucs seem to resort to when they don't have all their talent. And Zach Bond, Campbell, their linebackers, Cooper DeJean, they can move, they can make those stops. And then on the other side, the Eagles lost to the Bucs last year, and the Eagles have struggled against Todd Bowles. Jalen Hurts has struggled against Todd Bowles because what Todd Bowles does at a fundamental level is he blitzes and he stops the run. And that's basically the formula for beating the Eagles, and that's the formula for beating Jalen Hurts throughout his career. But last year, they didn't have A.J. Brown, they didn't have Devontae Smith, they didn't have their receiver talent. Jamel Dean had a pick 6 last week, I do believe. McCollum has played really well. So the Bucs are equipped to slow them down on the outside. I would say better than the Rams. I think the Bucs defense is actually better equipped to stop the Eagles than the Rams defense. Even if you might think the Rams have a better defense, I think fundamentally the Bucs style is better equipped to stop the Eagles. That being said, the Eagles did discover the forward pass last week. So A.J. Brown, a factor. Dallas Goedert back, a factor. Saquon as a receiver, could he be a factor in this game? Feels like he's not going to get much going running the ball. But I think it basically comes down to, I just don't know if the Bucs can block the Eagles. I don't know if I can trust the Bucs offensively without Mike Evans to beat the Super Bowl champs. Like, it really just comes down to that. I do think the Bucs defense is going to play pretty competitively, and I do think they'll keep them in it. But I think the Eagles will ultimately just be the better team. So I'm going to say the Eagles win 24-20 over the Bucs, and they cover the 3.5. It's not Tampa Bay minus 3.5 to say that again. It is Philly minus 3.5. Okay, guys, if you haven't already, go subscribe to my new channel, Money Mitch. It's absolutely free. That is where my best bets are every single week. Early best bets, and we've got multiple best bet shows. So Tuesday, an early best bets, maybe even Monday night at times. And Thursday is our official best bets. We also have a last minute best bets where I talk about totals, I talk about props. That's on Saturday. Okay, so go check that out on Money Mitch, the new channel. Next, we have the Chargers. Madison Beer at the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker himself, Jackson Dart. Chargers favored by 6.5 in New York. So the Chargers began the year in Brazil. They then went to Vegas. They then went home to LA. And now they got to go back from west to east in the early time slot to play an Eastern time zone team, the New York Giants, across the country. Just throwing that out there. The Chargers' offensive line is a bit depleted, and we saw that mismatch by the Broncos last week. Nick Bonito was in the backfield as fast as I can snap my fingers. Just like that. And still, Justin Herbert, rolled to the left, threw an individual, and threw an absolute seed into the arms of Keenan Allen. Justin Herbert is simply unbettable against right now. You can't fade him. He's on a hot streak. He's in love. His aura's through the roof. You can't fade Justin Herbert. It's impossible. Okay? The offensive line is in shambles. That's why I do believe the Giants defense could keep this competitive. They'll get pressure on the Chargers. They'll get pressure on Herbert. They'll make some stops that way. I do feel like the Chargers, though, might get a little bit of a ground game going this week. Hampton's looked better with every game, in my opinion. Last week, a little bit as a receiver. I could see him getting it going as a runner this week. I do like those Chargers receivers against a Giants secondary that can give up big plays. I mean, literally, Patrick Mahomes, when he wasn't throwing the ball backwards, he was just chucking the ball off his back foot, throwing it up to Tyquan Thornton. I feel like Herbert could chuck it up to Quentin Johnston and do the very same. So I think that the Chargers, there's going to be no in-between. They're going to have explosives, they're going to have running, passing explosives, and they're going to have stops, 3 and outs potentially. On the other side, I feel like the Giants, their run game isn't great. The Chargers, you kind of need to be able to run it on the Chargers. And I don't know if the Giants will be able to do that all that well. Cam Scatabo, playing okay. Looks decent. Little Scataboo out there, but he's not explosive. I'm not worried. The Giants, Andrew Thomas is back. That should help. And I don't love the Chargers pass rush or anything, but they're just so well coached. Jesse Minter, he has such a good, understanding of these coverages and his personnel and how they want to play things and how they want to pass off zones and how they want to match certain concepts and confuse quarterbacks and rotate their safeties and do all this funky shit. I feel like for a rookie, that's really complex. That's really a lot. And Jackson Dart might give the Giants a boost in energy, provide them a little bit more athleticism in the red zone and short yardage, might give them something as a runner. He might be more dialed into the RPO game and the quick passes. But I do feel like whenever it comes down to him dropping back and reading the defense, I think it's going to be a lot for him. And that could potentially force a turnover. He might hold the ball too long. There could be factors there. I do feel like the Chargers are the best red zone defense. Even if the Giants move the ball, I feel like they're not going to be able to execute once they get there. I think there will be a lot of field goals for the Giants. They might end up with 12 points. And rookies typically struggle in their first game. I will be excited to see how he looks, especially with this big challenge of Minter's defense. But the Chargers are just too good right now. Herbert's too good right now. I think the Chargers win 27-12. I think they win. I think they cover. It might feel closer than that, but I think the Chargers win. Next, the Colts at the Rams. Rams favored by 3.5 at home. Okay? Oh boy, this is a good game. The Indianapolis Colts are the first team since the 2007 Patriots to be 3-0 and punt 3 times or less. I think it's 3 times. It might be 5, but I think it's 3 times. The Rams are coming off a disappointing loss where they should have won the game. They were up big time over the Eagles in Philadelphia. They got a field goal blocked at the very end. I think this will be close because I think the Rams have multiple weaknesses. I don't think the Rams are a team that really blows that many teams out. They're both dome teams. The Rams don't have a significant home field advantage. And the Colts look really good on offense. The Colts right now have the most efficient offense in football. And they did it against Denver, which is a better defense than the Rams, I think. Yeah, they did against Miami. And yeah, they did against Tennessee. Tennessee's not a terrible defense. But I do feel like the Colts, a couple weaknesses that the Rams do have. At cornerback, the Rams aren't great at cornerback, and the Colts do have good receivers, right? And Steichen, that running game right now is as good as any in the league. I'd make an argument that it's the best in the league. Jonathan Taylor looks fantastic. They're running for explosives. The Rams have to stop that first, right? They stopped Saquon Barkley, but let's be honest, the Colts run game looks better than the Eagles right now. Like, you got to deal with Daniel Jones running just as you have to deal with Jalen Hurts. You have to deal with Jonathan Taylor running, and you have to deal with all these receivers. And Steichen is a really good play caller. And I do think that the Rams, if you can block the Rams, you can move the ball. We saw that with the Eagles. I feel like the Colts can do the same. The Colts have a good offensive line. So I think there will be points scored by Indianapolis once again. On the other side, I do think that the Rams have a weakness in their interior offensive line, which has been exploited a couple times already this year by Houston, and then also by the Eagles later in that game. But I do think the Colts have significant weakness in their back end of their defense with their injuries. I feel like Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams can definitely make some big plays down the field. And I think Stafford will definitely be able to attack this secondary, and especially the middle of the field of the Colts. I also like how the Rams' run game looked in that game last week. The Colts are pretty solid against the run traditionally because of their two defensive tackles. Shout out to Latu, who's been playing really well at defensive end. I think this is a really good game. I'm going to lean towards the Rams. They're at home. I do feel like they've got the better quarterback. I do think they'll be motivated off the loss against the Eagles. I'm going to say they win, and I'll say they cover, but I don't think it will be by much. I'm going to say like 31-27 Los Angeles. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game where the Rams barely cover. The Colts might cover. Like, I'm not sure. I'm kind of in between. Like, I feel like the Rams might win 27-24, and therefore the Colts cover. But I'm going to take the Rams to win and the Rams to cover 31-27. I don't think the Rams are one of these teams that really blows that many teams out. They let the Eagles come back. They had to do it late against Tennessee, who's the second worst team in the league. I don't know. We'll see. The Colts are too good right now for me to really say they're going to get blown out. So the Colts will be in the game. The Colts might even win the game. But I just need to see the Colts defense rise to the occasion against a really good offense. I haven't really seen that yet. They did dominate Miami. Miami was kind of out to lunch. Miami's not a great offense, right? They dominated Tennessee for a good portion of the game. Okay, Tennessee's terrible on offense. Denver's not very good on offense right now. We'll see how they look against Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and company. Okay, I got the Rams here. Next, the 49ers are at home. They're favored by a field goal, maybe 3.5, depending on where you look. Jacksonville on the road at the Niners. Every Niner game for the rest of the year is going to be basically like, who's playing? What's going on? Which quarterback's playing? Like, I'm picking on a Wednesday. What do you want me to tell you? I don't even know. Brock Purdy could be playing. He might not play. Mac Jones might play. Brock Purdy might play. I think Brock Purdy's going to play. If I had to guess, Brock Purdy's going to play. Okay? Now, is Jawan Jennings going to play? I don't know. Maybe. Is he? I hope. I have him on my fantasy team. I hope. But I don't know. What I do know is that Christian McCaffrey is going to play. I do know that. Okay? Now, I also know that Nick Bosa is not going to play because he tore his ACL. Okay? That's not good. Now, Jacksonville, I actually think both these defenses are playing really well. So, Jacksonville's defense, I think, has played really well so far this year for the most part. Trayvon Walker has been a demon out there. Josh Hines-Allen's a good player. Their linebackers, I think, are playing really well. Jordan Lewis has been a superstar. Dallas could use him, certainly. Their corners are kind of underrated to me. So I do think the Jags, they're kind of tougher on defense than you would expect. But the Niners have played some really good defenses so far. I mean, they played Seattle and Arizona. I think those defenses are just as good, if not better, than Jacksonville's. Again, offensively, it's really hard to know with the Niners because, like, no Kittle, no Ayuk. Is Jennings playing? Pearsall's playing, but he's kind of beat up because he's catching the ball so much. McCaffrey's playing. Like, it's such a mess, man. It's such a mess. Defensively, the Niners are also playing exceptional. Their speed of their defense is great. Their tackling's phenomenal. D. Winters has been a star. I love how their corners are playing, specifically Lenore. I think Upton Stout's played well. And Michael Williams, their first-round pick, has played well. Bryce Huff has played well. I want to pick the Niners, obviously. Something inside me is saying Jacksonville might win this game. But what's really hurting me here is Trevor Lawrence is just not good. Like, Trevor Lawrence is inaccurate. Trevor Lawrence misses throws he should make. Brian Thomas is scared of his shadow. Travis Hunter is playing on the wrong side of the ball. Jacksonville's O-line, still, I'm questionable about them. If the Niners without Bosa can continue to still stop the run, I think the Niners win. But I don't know what the Niners D-line is going to look like without Bosa, is my problem. I don't really know. I don't know how Saleh is going to make up for that. That being said, Saleh's done it before. I think they had a top 5 defense, top 10 defense in 2020 when Nick Bosa was out for the year that year. So they were still good that year, but do they have that same level of talent? A lot of them are young. I don't know. I think this will be a really close game. Once again, the Niners have played a bunch of close games so far. I'm going to say it's like 23-20, 24-20. It could even be Niners win, Jags cover. Jags might win by a field goal. I could see that too. Really, the Jags have been all about their run game. If you can stop their run game, you can stop the Jags. That's kind of what it's been about so far. I'm going to say that the Niners do enough there. And the Niners are at home, and Brock Purdy's back. I'm hoping Jawan Jennings plays. So if Jawan Jennings and Brock Purdy play, I'm going with the Niners to win and the Niners to cover. If Jawan Jennings and Brock Purdy don't play, I'll take Jacksonville to win and to cover, obviously. If Jawan Jennings doesn't play, I'm very nervous about the Niners pick because, I don't know, I do think Jacksonville is maybe a little better than people think. But I'm gonna take San Francisco. I'm gonna take San Francisco. Next, Chicago at the Raiders. And Strawberry does point out that Demarcus Robinson is also back for the Niners. So we haven't seen him play as a Niner yet, but he is back. Chicago at the Raiders. Chicago is -1. This is a spot where I want to fade the Bears. I want to take the Raiders. At the same time, though, I don't know what to make of the Raiders. I feel like Pete Carroll is past his prime. Feels like he needs to be put into a retirement home. And he's facing off against Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson, man, he's had this offense and Caleb Williams looking good week after week and getting better week after week. That being said, like, Caleb looked good, but he looked good against the Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys defense is absolutely pathetic. Like, guys, they are a piece of donkey crap. Like, they are so bad. And see, this with Washington, Atlanta. Like, I would rather shoot myself than bet this game. Like, I don't know what to think. Geno is the better quarterback to me. I do think you can attack the Bears down the field throwing the football. The Bears secondary is weak. They're very injured. They don't have a pass rush. Trey Tucker could go off again. Maybe Thornton gets unlocked. Brock Bowers is getting healthier. Jacoby Myers is a dog. I think the Raiders are going to throw the ball well. On the other side, though, right, Ben Johnson against a defense that plays cover 3 on every down. Like, any great offensive mind against a defense that plays the same defense every time, or like 70% of the time, like, I just don't like that idea. I just don't like because he's just going to have a million different plays to beat cover 3. So I'm going to take the Bears because I think I've seen more from the Bears. At the same time, I have no idea. The Raiders could easily win this game. I actually kind of want to pick the Raiders. You know what? I'm going to pick the Raiders. Fuck it. I'm going to pick the Raiders. I'm fading Caleb Williams and his painted nails. Enough said. Next. The Ravens at the Chiefs. Oh boy. I really was going to lay some money on the Ravens this game. I really was. But the more I think about this game, the more that I feel like this is the Eagles versus the Chiefs 2.0. Like, this is going to be a nasty, gritty, ugly game. I kind of feel like. It's in Arrowhead. Steve Spagnuolo against Lamar typically has had the advantage, it feels like, because the Chiefs have very deceptive ways of blitzing, and they're also strong against the run, which are the two things that you need to be able to do against Lamar to be able to stop the Ravens. They also have Trent McDuffie, who could shadow Zay Flowers, and that feels like a fairly good matchup in favor of Kansas City, and the Chiefs secondary has played much better in the last couple of games than they did in week 1. That being said, I do think Baltimore has favorable matchups when it comes to Lamar's overall speed against what is probably a pretty slow front seven in Kansas City. Rashad Bateman against Jalen Watson, I feel like that's a matchup they can win. Mark Andrews and the return of Isaiah Likely against a team that's traditionally struggled against tight ends. So those are all matchups that I think the Ravens are favored in. And you still have to stop Derrick Henry. It's one thing to say it, but you still have to do it. On the other side, sure, the Chiefs might get Worthy back, which would be pretty significant because Worthy is fast. And the Ravens' defensive backs, they're pretty slow. I guess Wiggins isn't, but overall, that would be a pretty big addition, right? It makes Hollywood a little bit less crucial, Kelsey less crucial, Juju, Tyquan, all that sort of stuff, right? Tyquan can fly too. It's just that he barely catches the ball sometimes, but he played well last week. My thing is I don't know if the Chiefs can successfully do to the Ravens what the Lions did to the Ravens. The Chiefs can't run the ball, period. So even without Matabike, who I expect to be out this week once again, he might be on IR, to be honest. I don't think the Chiefs can run the ball, period, against anybody. Even the team that is the worst run defense in the NFL right now. But to be fair to the Ravens, they played the Bills and they played the Lions. Those teams know how to run the ball. The Chiefs don't, right? So I'm not too worried about it. At the same time, the Chiefs, what is their offense right now? RPOs and then just Mahomes scrambling and throwing the ball off his back foot straight up into the air to Tyquan Thornton. What is their offense? I don't see Kelsey doing much here. He's slow. I think the Ravens defense actually comes to play a bit. So I think both defenses actually genuinely play pretty well. The Ravens' deficiencies defensively just don't show up as much because the Chiefs' offense is inadequate. It's not good. It's bad. So I'm going to go Ravens win kind of like the Eagles did against the Chiefs. 24-20 or pretty gritty, pretty close. I could see the Chiefs winning, but it comes down to Baltimore continuing to play like crap on defense. That's kind of what it comes down to. If you have faith that the Ravens can play a bit better on defense and that the Chiefs won't be able to attack the weaknesses of the Ravens like the Lions and Josh Allen have, then I would take the Ravens. But if you feel like Mahomes and Reed can cook something up that they haven't been able to cook up all year, then take the Chiefs. But I have the Ravens to win and the Ravens to cover here. I think they are the more talented team. And after a loss to the Lions, the way they lost, they should be fired up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Next, the Packers at the Cowboys. Guys, this is Sunday Night Football. If you haven't already, Gronk spiked the like button. It helps the algorithm. It helps the people find this video. It helps NFL fans find the Bottom Line View. Like the video. It's free. Okay. The Packers at the Cowboys. Give me Green Bay to win, Green Bay to cover. Green Bay by 17. 34-17, Green Bay. Now, it comes down to this. Cowboys offensive line, not good. Packers pass rush, good. Cowboys, no CeeDee Lamb. Without CeeDee Lamb, they have no heart, they have no soul. And Dak Prescott is lost. He's lost. The Packers defense is top 3 in football. They've got a vicious pass rush. They're fast as shit. And I don't think they're giving up much to the Cowboys offense here. Cowboys need to be able to run the ball to have a chance. They need to be able to run the ball. I will say that. On the other side, the Cowboys defense, the worst in the NFL. They suck. They're terrible. They're atrocious. They can't cover anybody. And Matt LaFleur, it doesn't even matter who the Packers have, in my opinion, at receiver in this game. Because Matt LaFleur is just going to scheme up everybody wide open. You're just going to see Romeo Doubs running wide open across this field. Matthew Golden, he might have an explosive game here. I could see him having a coming out party. Tucker Kraft, Josh Jacobs could run the ball. You know, like, I actually like how Jordan Love's playing right now. Jordan Love had his best game ever against the Cowboys. He's going to bring in that confidence. Not sure what the Packers' O-line will look like if they're going to be healthier for this game. But I think it simply comes down to Packers pass rush fueled by Micah Parsons, pumped up by Micah Parsons. And then on the other side, Matt LaFleur's scheme on offense just absolutely dicing up Matt Eberflus. That's what I think it comes down to. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to lose and the Packers to win, the Packers to cover, the Packers all the way. Okay. Monday night. Give me the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1. The Miami Dolphins are going to get their #1 win of the season and maybe their last win of the season. It's in Miami. It's still September. It's still hot as balls. And I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Jets. Doesn't matter. Tyrod, Mark Sanchez, Justin Fields, Chad Pennington. Does it really matter, bro? Joe Namath. He's probably better at 100 years old than frickin' Tyrod Taylor. The Jets do have an advantage, in my opinion, on the O-line and D-line. But where I think the Dolphins have the clear advantage is coach. Mike McDaniel versus Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn is a bum. Aaron Glenn is a meme. Aaron Glenn is dancing to Earth, Wind, and Fire, bro, on the sidelines. Mike McDaniel has had extra time to prepare his team. He's coming off a kind of a close game against Buffalo where they could build some confidence. Tua shit his pants. But I don't think Tua's going to shit his pants against the Jets because usually he plays well against the Jets. Tyreek Hill looked great last week. Waddle looked good last week. Malik Washington is a dog. The Dolphins' O-line sucks, but it doesn't matter because they get rid of the ball. I think they found a run game last week. I like the Dolphins here. I think their secondary played competitively for the first time all year last week. I think the Dolphins, 10 days, Mike McDaniel, at home, Monday night. Come on, Dolphins. Jets suck. Then we've got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos. Denver, favored by 7.5. I'm going to go Denver wins, but the Bengals cover. First of all, Denver's been having issues on offense. What can we trust about this offense? If there is a get-right spot, it is against the Bengals defense. There's no doubt about that. Sean Payton should be able to cook something up, right? But Bo Nix is missing wide-open people. There's nothing you can cook up about that, right? Their screen game, their smoke and mirrors, it hasn't been the same this year. But I do think that Denver should be able to score enough points here. I do think that they should be able to, mix in a good balance of run, pass, play action, screen, all that sort of stuff. And then on the other side, I think that the Bengals, I think they'll just be competitive. Like, I think after last week, they were embarrassed. They got destroyed, dismantled. They looked pathetic. They fumbled the ball like 4 times. They threw a pick 6. Yeah, their O-line stinks, but their receivers are awesome. And maybe Denver's pass rush ruins this game. But this was a really close game last year. Went to overtime. Bengals won it. That was on the back of Joe Burrow. But I think if Browning can be quick, decisive, they were moving the ball against the Vikings early. They just continuously were turning it over. I think they do enough to make this fun. I'm at least hoping so when I'm watching Monday Night Football. So I'll take the big number, 7.5, against a Denver team that just has not been great on offense this year. They might be able to cover in an ugly game, but I feel like I just need to see more from Denver's offense here. Maybe they get it done against the Bengals, but the Denver defense has also been giving up more plays than you would expect. Their pass rush has been great, but their back end has not been, and their linebacker position has definitely been a weakness. I feel like the Colts scored a lot of points on them, the Chargers scored a decent amount of points on them, and the Titans were competitive with them too. So we'll see. I don't know. I wouldn't bet this game, but yeah, maybe Denver in a teaser wouldn't be bad, but honestly, I would just stay away from this one. I think that the Browning Bengals do have a bit of a bounce back from just a passion perspective. Last week was pathetic. So there it is, guys. My picks for week number 4. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, Gronk spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni and subscribe. Appreciate everybody that was in the live chat providing their picks. Robert, Jacob, Singh, Durkant. What else we got? Claire's in the chat. Durkant says Dolphins lose another heartbreaker and Kevin Durkant revokes his fandom. Jets win 31-28. Philip, Singh, shout out to all you guys in the chat. Let's get right this week, Big Al. Let's get it done, bro. Let's get it done. Thank you guys for watching. It's Mitch. Love you all with all my heart. Peace.